Hey, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Rage, and we are back today with Marvel Strike Force's newest character here in Howard the Duck, finally joining in the game. He's been hyped up for quite some time, but it was an awesome announcement that we finally got his inclusion now officially. So, what's available now is his offers, and there's also the Red Stars promotion. We're going to be taking a look at actually what his kit's going to be detailed here in terms of the upgrades, what potential opportunities there are to obviously invest in this character, especially given how iconic he is. So you can see here, he's going to be formulating with the STARJAMMERS as part of the Crucible game mode, and obviously there will be value in other aspects, but what he's going to be bringing to the table is that he's currently classified as a blaster with high health and focus. And as well, remember, this team is going to specialize in going against enemies that have barrier. Specifically, Howard's special and ultimate give extra damage when attacking enemies with barrier. We'll take a look at that and how those upgrades and T4s look respectively. And as well, if the enemy does have barrier at the start of turn, he also blasts through them for piercing damage on spawn, also applying defense up to his fellow allies. In addition to that, he also prevents enemies from gaining evasion. So if you're building him up and you're building up the STARJAMMERS, this is where they're going to shine, right? The Crucible bonuses include having offense up to all of his STARJAMMER allies. He's going to give additional attacks. His ultimate also applies a detrimental trauma to each enemy, and as well, his passive blocks all enemy speed bar changes until he completes his turn. Especially if he has 4 or more STARJAMMER allies. Remember, this can actually bypass Mephisto, so it's really, really cool that a character like this can actually counter that in the game mode dynamic, right? So very interesting for sure. Also, guys, I do want to point out, if you're doing your raids either today or tomorrow, you likely will be able to now hit enough of those crystals to actually unlock Lilandra. So I just got that right now, actually. If I just show you right here, so Lilandra, you should have enough shards now. You've been able to hit all the free-to-play events along the way, and that includes both the Crucible side and as well as the raid side. So that's awesome to see for sure. Now, let's take a look at the highlight here, which is Howard the Duck. And you can see here, guys, I already got the 7 red because, again, if you've been hoarding and just saving all those red star orbs, these are the opportunities where that extra 15% promotion is huge. So make sure you guys take advantage of that. So basic ability, Quack Fu. Gain offense up in Crucible, instead apply offense up to himself and all STARJAMMER allies. So obviously, even with this basic right there, he's getting maximal value when he's being utilized in the Crucible game mode. He also does an additional piercing damage, as you can see, with elevated increase there to the bonus attacks, piercing as well, offense up lasting for 2 full turns. And then if you are going to T4 this ability, he's also going to be adding in a bonus attack on the primary target, an additional 2 times for 75 piercing. So this is really just a cherry on top in terms of what he's already doing with his damage, but obviously it makes sense to upgrade this, especially if you're planning to use him in the Crucible game mode. Otherwise, I would stop at level 6 to save your T4s, because chances are the special, ultimate, as well as the passive will take priorities given how much extra value they're going to be getting from the upgrades there. Lucky Malfunction is a special, so he's going to be attacking all enemies for piercing damage. For each enemy with barrier on the start of this turn, he's also gaining additional damage up to a maximum of 200% on this attack. So obviously, the more barrier allies that were, more barriered enemies that we're up against, the more potent and powerful this special becomes. So definitely want to be watching for that dynamic, obviously, in Crucible. And really, it's a raw increase of piercing damage for this attack, right? And as well, what's notable is on level 5, he does actually clear the barrier on all enemies, and then applying, obviously, that piercing damage. So nothing to scream home about. Obviously, the level 6 to level 7 is a T4 requirement there, but again, it's just adding additional piercing damage. So I don't know if I would prioritize this one actually over the basic ability, just because this one is nice because it actually gives you that bonus attack with additional 2 times. So that's going to be kind of a toss up there, which means now the ultimate and passive will probably be the priority. So let's take a look. BFG. Attack primary and adjacent targets for 90% piercing. This attack also gains 25% extra damage against targets with barrier and ignores defense up. There's also an ability block component in this ability, as well as disruption. In Crucible, he's also going to be applying that detrimental trauma to all enemies, so that's pretty notable there. Ability block disruption lasting for 2 full turns, and then T4ing this ability as well is going to get you actually the trauma for 2 full turns. So yeah, for sure, this is the priority to upgrade for sure. If you're not using this team or character in Crucible yet, then you can stop at level 6, because remember, the trauma only does last in Crucible specifically. Otherwise, you're just getting the additional ability block and disruption there. So just food for thought if you're trying to decide if you're going to make that upgrade yet. That's what I would decide on. But obviously, the ultimate is probably the most important. And then last but not least, Detective Duck is his passive. On enemy turn, if that character, sorry, has barrier, attack that enemy for 60% piercing. In Crucible, before this character takes a turn, if he has 4 or more Starjammer allies, the speed of all enemies can only be altered by positive and negative effects. So that's what I was saying earlier before. He's likely going to get the speed advantage, especially when the other characters also bolster that. He's also going to be getting defense up for 2 full turns to him and the Starjammer allies. And as well, this is what I'm saying earlier. You can see there's going to be a fill up of speed bar here by 15% plus 5% for each of the Starjammer allies. And as well, enemies cannot gain evasion, so all the abilities are actually going to land on the enemies. Additional piercing and Crucible, before this character takes a turn, speed bar cannot be filled or reduced by any enemy that we're up against for themselves, allies, or enemies. So pretty notable, guys. Ultimate, passive are the ones that you want to upgrade, with the exception, obviously, if you're bringing this character and waiting for a Crucible entry. Once that happens, it makes the most sense. And then the special and the basic ability, I'll leave that to you guys for decision making process, because one is more piercing damage, obviously, for all enemies across the board. And then the basic here is really more focused on that primary target. So there's a couple of ISO-8s you can actually slot him in as, but given how his special and his ultimate does target a lot of enemies all at once, I would actually personally slot him in as a raider. So that way you are maximizing the critical hit rate and damage overall, just because all of his abilities do pierce. You can also slot him in as a striker as well, because you're going to obviously take advantage of the fact that he can be applying the offense up mechanic. But for sure, if I'm building him up, guys, I'm probably going to be using Raider first of all, just to maximize his potential output. So do let me know what you guys think in the comments below if you agree or disagree. But awesome and exciting addition to Marvel Strike Force, and especially this Starjammers team, where we don't know if they're required for a future legendary yet, but we know Lilandra is going to be an important piece to unlocking Charles Xavier. So make sure you guys are unlocking her and building her up, because she's going to be a very notable character here for sure. Thank you for your time as always, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.